Welcome to the 37th International Documentary Film Festival from Munich. This is our first dual edition, so you can watch the films online and in the theaters. And my name is Vera Drude. I'm a filmmaker myself, and I really like talking about films, and so I'm really happy to be here today with the team of the film Jon, which premiered at Doc Lisboa last year, and then shortly after went to Gilava and to the IDFA in Amsterdam. Welcome. Pedro Figueira Neto and Ricardo Falcao. So now I'm really confused, like, am I speaking Spanish or Portuguese? Or with your film, you're accompanying a Senegalese driver, Mbaye Sow, who has like a small logistic business. And I was wondering, how did you meet him?
Well, maybe I can start and then pass to Ricardo. Actually, I met him via Ricardo. And maybe in answering that question, I might answer how the film started, because they both converge to a great extent, at least in my case. And so Ricardo knew Mbaye Sow for quite a long time. He used to work in Senegal, as we are both anthropologists and colleagues at university. And I work on mobility, on borders. And so Ricardo came to me and mentioned the livelihood of this individual, Mbaye Sow, and about the possibility of making a film, because of course his life was already cinematographic to a great extent. And so after speaking a while on this possible project, I was introduced to Mbaye Sow in Reboleira, which is this place in the outskirts of Lisbon where you have these car workshops. And then we started meeting also in other locations in which his life unfolds, in Feira da Ladra, which is this flea market also here in Lisbon. And so we gradually got acquainted and started working on the proper film, on the shooting. Ricardo has a longer story with him. He might want to share.
Well, as Pedro was saying, I've known Mbaye for quite a while, and for starters, I didn't meet him with the idea of making a film or anything. I just met him in the flea market where he was selling his masks that you can see in the film, and for a number of years, I would go there and just talk to him, and we became friends actually. And then I got to meet his family in Senegal when I was there doing field work. His sons and daughters.
Sorry if I'm interrupting. Maybe you can tell a little bit more about your time in Senegal, because I think you have worked and lived there also, right?
Yes, I've been there from 2011 to 2013, like 2.5 years straight there. I had been going there from 2007, 2008, and then when I started working on a PhD about Senegal, that took me for a longer period of time. That's when I actually met the family of Mbaye, and that's how things kind of evolved to becoming a friend with him, which is, I think, an important part of also the idea then becoming more mature that a film was possible, because there was this trust between us, and then of course the film itself started in 2017 when, as Pedro explained, we started working on the ideas that we would want to shoot, how we would approach everything Mbaye was doing, So that's the film. So we can see those in two parts. The part that initially where the idea of a film was a little more fuzzy, and it didn't actually. Yeah, I was just friends with Mbai, and then the film became material, more materialized when Pedro and I started working on it and discussing the ideas and why we should do this and that. And that's when the film actually came to life.
Let me ask you something, because the film is presented in the focus at the DocFest, which is called Brave New Work. And I was wondering if Mbei's line of work is a new one, actually. Maybe you can also tell, like, what is he doing? Like, if somebody didn't watch the film yet, what is his business, and is it a new one?
Well, it's very interesting, that question, actually, whether it's a new sort of activity or how new is it. And well, as you will see, or as you have seen in the film, Bai loads very old vehicles that became somehow obsolete or considered as such in the European context, and drive these cars loaded with secondhand stuff, clothing, IT, mobile phones, and so forth, broken TVs that are eventually fixed and sold, not only upon arrival, but also along the way. Well, this is not necessarily a new activity, I'd say. Actually, if we want to look back into history, the caravans that were crossing the Sahel and the Sahara existed for many centuries. I mean, so we could not necessarily think about a new activity, but an activity that has existed for quite a long time, that finds new ways of expressing itself, in the sense of answering to the needs of this sort of commerce that exists, and the desires of the populations that live and request certain things further south. I might say this, and maybe, I mean, Ricardo will surely complete with many other interesting things that I'm probably skipping, but since 2019, if I'm not wrong, no, 20, sorry, borders were closed, were shut down due to COVID. So suddenly this activity, the Houthi activity, that is these men, usually from Senegal or from Mali, but our film, we see the Senegalese men, all this activity came to a halt, and it didn't resume yet, as far as we know.
So you filmed you were filming before COVID started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ricardo, do you want to? You can elaborate.
An idea of temporality, because of your question. If you are in a forest, why does a path become a path? It's because many people pass through the same way, and bushes start to disappear, and the path starts to clear. So I guess these men also go through a path which is already taken somehow, going north, but also coming south. And in that sense, it's not a new activity, because we have a term in Portuguese, caixeiro viajante, which is the guy would take some things to commerce and go around the country selling them. And in Senegal, they're called bana bana, or just baul baul, which are bana bana. It's the guys that you can see in almost every European city selling small items for a fast profit, and they're just mobile. They can just recreate their stand anywhere. They're called manteros in Spain. I don't know what they're called in Germany, but I bet they
I don't
exist
think
also.
we have a name for them.
Okay, but in Spain we have manteros. In Senegal we call them banabana. In Portugal we call them caixeiro de viajantes. So I guess this is one of the oldest line of work of people since the big routes have been construed, you know?
We just
Because,
haven't looked at it yet.
sorry?
We just haven't looked at it yet, I guess.
To this type of mobility. Yes, maybe sometimes we are unaware of what's going on. And this is one thing me and Pedro, we discussed a lot because actually these men occupy very marginal spaces and they go from margin to margin, and people are actually unaware they exist and they do all this, and they fulfill a very important role in the Senegalese society because they bring stuff that have high demand in Senegal, but there is not a formal commerce, or European institutions are not interested in making this type of commerce. So these men fulfill that need. And I guess, of course,
let me ask. Yeah, sorry. Did you want
to? Yeah, Vera, because you say that you in Germany you were not aware of it, as far as I understood your point. But it's very funny because there are also many cars, old Mercedes, or not necessarily extremely old, but former taxis that are taken to Senegal from Germany also. We met a few people while filming that were coming from Germany, bringing cars from Germany to Senegal too. So it's very interesting because it's extremely widespread throughout Europe, and yet it remains largely invisible for most people.
So just before we started recording this talk, you told me this is your first collaboration. How did you, as a team, find each other?
Well, I don't know, I mean, we, as I was saying, we are both anthropologists, and I don't know the exact year in which we actually met, but it was maybe 10 years ago, I don't know, maybe. And actually interesting because it was on a course, as far as I can remember, in a summer course on border crossings, in and out of Africa. I think this was the title of the course. And I think that was the first time we actually spoke. But then we work, as we were saying, like we are both researchers and both anthropologists. We no longer work at the same university, but they are one next to the other. And so we have also many contacts in which we would meet in conferences, at university, with common friends. So I think that.
And how did you But how did you start making films together? Maybe this is
I can
more precise.
I can add something to that. For me, the idea of talking to Pedro about this started in two moments. The first one was a presentation Pedro did on a conference. I think it was Activisms in Africa, as a keynote speaker. He was presenting something from his work in Angola, where he found that if people did not discuss politics too much while in the cities where they lived, they would discuss it 10 times more when they were in mobility inside cars. So because these spaces are kind of a small bubble, and they can actually escape control better than if you are talking about in your own neighborhood or to the known people. Talking to strangers in mobility kind of facilitated certain political discussions that didn't happen in other places. But Pedro can precise more what I'm telling. Maybe I'm not saying this exactly as he meant it, but this is how I got it from my side. And I found the idea very, very interesting because I remember being in Senegal and the discussions, not the political discussions, but the discussions that happen inside taxis and cars and everything were always more interesting than the ones I had in where I was staying in the village or whatever. So this was the first thing. I think I even sent him a message to congratulate him on the idea. And you can see already the idea of being inside a car and the mobility, which is also the theme of the film, and of course the borders. And I knew Pedro worked with borders. And the second moment was I was coming out from something I was doing at the university one evening, and Pedro was standing outside smoking a cigarette, and I came outside also to smoke a cigarette. And we started discussing. I don't know how the theme came, but we started talking about documentaries, and he told me that he also did some stuff, and we exchanged pages, web pages. He sent me his Vimeo, and I sent him also some stuff I was thinking about. And then I got convinced, okay, I think that there are many things here that can I don't know, converge to make something. And then I said to him, oh, listen, I have an idea to present to you. And immediately, as I started talking to him, he came on board, and he invested also in material to make the film, and all of that.
And maybe let me just try to smoothly
I'm sorry, I
go
just got
towards.
interrupted.
No worry, because I think we're already there. Like, but how did you then start making the film and decided also on having like this journey, this kind of road movie?
Well, I can be. Actually, the first conversations we had, I mean, after this episode in which Ricardo shared the existence of this activity and his knowledge about this character or this individual that became the main character of the film, I mean, it's from point A to B. It automatically almost you get the idea of a road movie, and we didn't really. It was not necessarily a decision that we took at a certain point. We decided that we were going to make this journey, to travel with him, with Mbaitso. And we had many ideas, many of which were abandoned because there are many unexpected things that happen along the way.
For
so
example,
most of the things that we have.
Can you give an example? What happened?
Well, this journey takes some 10 days, and you would travel. You drive, or these people, the routiers, drive maybe 16 hours a day, if not more sometimes. So at 80 kilometers per hour. So it leaves very little room to divert and to film other things other than the road itself, or the very frugal and immediate encounters with mechanics, although mechanics actually is probably the moment in which you stay longer in the same place. Otherwise, you just deliver baggage to this person, to another guy, and sometimes you didn't even have the chance to set up your tripod or even understand what is happening around, because things are already happening. So this very hectic approach and Mbaitso is probably an extreme of actiness, if the word exists in this regard, because he wants to arrive home as fast as he can. So he drives countless hours. He is underslept. Fatigue takes place, and he only does what he is willing to do. And actually, during the first shooting, because we had a second shooting afterwards when we got proper funding to film Jon. The fact is that he's doing his job. We are there we are invited to be there. We have to, in this first shooting, we would have only to follow and understand how things were unfolding and not necessarily stick to the ideas or most of the ideas that we had initially scripted, because I mean, you cannot negotiate at a certain point. You cannot negotiate certain things. You know, you have a flat tire, or you have the police. You cannot negotiate. Well, wait just 5 minutes so I can prepare things. No, you just start filming, and then in the end of the day, when you arrive, in case you arrive to a place in which that's possible, you check what sort of material you manage to shoot, and then I would discuss with Ricardo ideas of what we were managing to collect and what else we would need, and of course, I mean, we were relying on the goodwill of Mbaiso also to be there. So we really had to adapt ourselves, and the script also suffered due to that. But in a very good way, I'd say. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a pity that the script that was being written in front of us was much more interesting, actually.
I would like to ask you one last question. What's your next project? Are you planning a new collaboration, or tell me about each of your projects? Okay, I don't know if you want to go. Can you still hear me?
We have no other plans to collaborate together now. I have other projects. Ricardo has also his own projects, but we are not collaborating now. Maybe in the future that pops up, I don't know.
Okay. And what about Mbaye? How is he doing? Because as you said, was he able to pick up his business again, or is he still unable to do it because the borders are closed?
No, actually, borders are reopened for 2 weeks now. He has been looking into the possibility of going, but now there are other issues going on because it's not only the borders in Morocco, it's also the borders in Senegal. And the rules are changing every time he comes with a new car. And he has to manage them. So when the entry becomes too expensive, he has to find a way to have material within the car that can make it profitable to cross the border with the car and the things he's bringing. So he's looking into the possibility of how to make that a profitable journey. But he's already thinking about new trip. It's been like 2 years, over. So
he didn't do a trip yet. He's still in Lisbon.
He's still in Lisbon. Yes, he's still waiting for the opportunity. He's always trying to look around what's going on, and as soon as something nice and profitable comes by, he will go. But he says he wants to go slower now. He doesn't want to take certain risks because he's becoming older, you know. He has like 63 years old now. So he's not a youngster as it may seem in the film. So certain risks he wants to just start to eliminating them in the future.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for asking all these questions. And at the end, I wanted to say that your film is nominated for the Audience Awards. So you, the public who's watching your film, you can vote online or you can vote in the cinemas if you're going to watch this film in the cinema, because it's a very cinematic film, as we were talking about. It's a very slow and very long journey. So you can still watch it until the 15th in the cinema, or online until the 22nd of May. Thank you very much, and good luck for your next projects.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.